Good morning. Buckle up for the best answers to the question you've always been asking yourself, maybe. What place gets creepy when you're alone? Hotel. I work at a hotel, and actually one time in a dozen years of me working there was one day we had absolutely no guests in house. I did not like that, one bit. I hated being in that huge building all by myself. Similarly, dorm buildings. Former RA, during closing time it was so eerie, especially with every door open and the large communal showers all alone. My basement looks like it should be the set for a Hostel type movie. Worst of all, my dad bought some old barber chairs he's going to restore someday. So this room that already looks like a torture chamber now has two beat up barber chairs in it. My uncle's recently purchased house has a basement a lot like yours minus the barber chairs. When he bought it and started renovations, he took apart a makeshift storage closet type space in the basement and found "I will be good" written over and over on the walls inside. He and his girlfriend found out from neighbors that the house was used as a residential care home. Fricked up. Below ground levels of a hospital. Worked third shift in a major hospital. Had to bring samples to the lab in the basement at all hours of the night. Seriously, one of the creepiest places I've ever been. It was pristinely clean with fluorescent lighting which just gave it a really weird vibe to me for some reason. There's one main hall that is about 300 to 400 feet long with corridors splitting off the whole way. I always pictured a zombie from 28 Days Later sprinting towards me from the other end. The subway. When it's packed with people, it's fine. You are just rushing with the rest of the crowd to catch the train. But when you are alone and every sound is bouncing off the walls? That's so creepy. The artificial lights don't feel as unnatural as they do when you are alone. You find yourself yearning for the sun or the stars or anything real. A small cloud of fireflies would be better than the hum of overhead artificial lights. Even the air smells stale down there. It feels like a tomb but with a train ready to take you on the way out. Can confirm. Had a late train ride back to Boston once, got stuck on the tracks for an hour and a half, and only then could I catch the T. Stood by myself in Andrews Station at 11 p.m. I didn't know music played down there until I stood on the empty platform, snow falling outside, the rumble of trains passing farther down the tunnels, cheeks chapped with cold. Freaky poop. Public toilets at 4 a.m. Rest areas are not a good place to be from dusk till dawn. My school bus stopped at a rest stop at 2 a.m. for our senior trip. Creepy enough at 2 a.m., but most of the state is surrounded by woods, and teenagers are buttholes. So instead of buddy system they'll do their business and sprint to the bus. Screw you if you're still washing your hands. There's a stretch of road in my hometown where a few teenagers have died in car accidents. 3 kids on 2 separate occasions in the same spot. There are few street lights and wooded lots surrounding it. That stretch of road is very creepy at 1 in the morning when you're alone in the car. Sometimes they like to have reenactments with cars driving by. Dark roads in the middle of the night. Scarier if another car is with you. Following you. Just far enough behind you that you occasionally think you might have lost him, but then you look in the rearview mirror and see those headlights coming around the curve. And then nobody's following you anymore. You feel a sense of relief. A few minutes later your headlight starts to flicker. Your car stops on its own. Midway up the basement stairs after turning the lights off at the bottom. Who the hell installs the light switch at the bottom of the stairs rather than the top? Oh, there's a light in the stairwell with a switch at the top. I'm talking about the basement room going dark and you're in the stairwell with nothing but darkness at the bottom of the stairs. The library. I work in a big 60-year-old academic library. I have recently started using my office from time to time with everyone else still working from home. I am ashamed to say I turned all of the lights on the floor on while I was there. The bathrooms are the creepiest. They haven't ever been updated and have a real 1960s feel. You described my university's main library perfectly. I'm sure yours is as creepy as you say when no one else is there. But on a lighter note, I love my library with its retro study carrels and the book smell and the endless rows of shelves. My heart will break if they ever renovate all the floors. Does the study group hog the one big room all the time? Roller rink. I used to work at a roller hockey facility and often closed the place alone. The sound still traveled and it sounded like I was being followed. Even creepier now that in some places, skating rinks have been converted into emergency morgues to house the massive number of COVID casualties. I didn't know that. That scares me. The middle of the ocean. Yes. My wife, son and I went on a cruise last summer. At night I'd go out on the balcony and read when they went to bed. Out in the middle of the Atlantic with no lights anywhere. It's super cool but also very unsettling. Seeing another ship off in the distance was strangely reassuring. I'm a teenager and went on a cruise with my family last fall. Being with my siblings and the strangers I met and turned into friends while being on the top deck looking out into the water or being in the 24/7 diner at 3 a.m. is very weird. The parking lot when you leave work late at night. Story time. Back in 2014 I was working an evening shift in an industrial area, so I'd arrive for work around 4 p.m. and leave around 1 a.m. My ride was the family's cargo van. They used it to deliver produce, that had no windows in the back. Oh, and the locks didn't work. So I'd come out at 1 a.m. to an empty parking lot and climb into my murder van that had been unlocked and unattended the 8 to 9 hours prior, and then hop in and hope for the best. NGL, some nights I'd creep myself out and wind up swerving wildly in the parking lot on the way out to toss any hiding kidnappers/murderers that were waiting in the dark for me. Empty school. Yes. I worked in a preschool that was converted from an old elementary school, and closing up at night was so creepy. I refused to look in any windows. You can't see anything you don't want to see if you're not looking. The gyms and bathrooms are even worse. True. It was actually a YMCA and it was really scary. Our gym lights were motion activated and we would regularly come into them being on. Hard pass. Basements. Kevin, is that you? Merlin, what the duck? My thoughts. Can confirm. Been there many times and I do not recommend. Night hikes. People who go alone scare me. Did some night hiking before, and for me it's when you're not alone is the scary part. You never know if that's just another night hiker or a potentially dangerous person or thing. Very careful night hiking. I fell off a beach cliff and ended up in a coma. It was not a fun December 26th. The woods near my apartment complex at night. They are. But how else am I supposed to keep an eye on you? Pressed up against the window, like normal people. Gas stations, at 3 a.m. Especially ones that are in the middle of nowhere. To me it's everything around the gas station that's the problem. Where I live, gas stations are basically like little supermarkets with people working in them, even during the night, and even in the middle of nowhere. So the scariest part is looking at the complete darkness surrounding the gas station. My house is actually in the middle of nowhere. It gets too quiet sometimes. Plus my house has bad history. Tell us more about this bad history. I won't go into much detail, but the house has some unwanted things in it. What would have been your answer or question? Leave it in the comments below. Slap that like and subscribe button for more, and check out the link in the video description for even more answers. Peace out, and catch you in the next video.